Welcome everyone to this year's Memorial Day at the Monument, sponsored by the Fallen Timbers Battlefield Commission. My name is Julia Wiley. I'm the president of the commission, and I will be your MC for today. We have a number of wonderful speakers that you will hear from today. Every year at this event, the commission honors all who participated in the Battle of Fallen Timbers. And that includes the Native Americans, the British, the Canadians, represented on this side of the monument, and also not only Anthony Wayne's Legion, the U.S. Army, but the Kentucky Militia. But we also honor a broader group than that. We also take this occasion to honor all veterans of U.S. forces from the time this country was formed to the present. This year, as we're beginning to see our way clear, hopefully, of the pandemic, we also want to honor not only our first responders, but our healthcare workers who have been giving of their service, and unfortunately, some of them their lives, in honor of keeping the rest of us safe. Now, we're going to begin this afternoon with the posting of the flags. We are going to start with the Canadian flag. The Canadian militia were men who lived and were making their futures in British Canada. The Canadian Rangers were embedded with the Native forces during the battle. Several gave their lives on the field of this battle. We honored these Canadian militia forces by posting the Canadian flag. The British regular forces and additional militia were serving inside Fort Miamis, an illicit British fort on the Maumee River. Following the Battle of Fallen Timbers, General Wayne and the U.S. forces eventually marched over to Fort Miamis, and a standoff occurred. Had anyone from either side fired a shot, war would again have erupted between Britain and the United States. Discretion and discipline on both sides prevented further bloodshed. We honor the self-control of the soldiers inside the fort by posting the British flag. These flags are the allies of the Native Confederation surround the monument dedicated to the Native Confederation, and we will talk more about the Natives as this ceremony continues. Next, we turn to the American side. The Kentucky Militia joined with Wayne's Legion as the Army began to move north from Greenville to engage the Native Confederation. Over 1,500 soldiers joined with the Legion at a critical time, as some U.S. Army enlistments had ended, causing a depletion of Wayne's forces just when he needed them most. At the battle, a number of Kentucky militia rode ahead of the main forces to be the first to engage the Native Confederation. Many of them died in this first barrage. We honor the men of the Kentucky militia by posting the Kentucky state flag. The U.S. Legion, created under the command of Brigadier General Anthony Wayne, was a recreation of the U.S. Army. At this time, we post, again, the 13-star, 13-stripe U.S. American flag. And as I said, we honor the recreation of the U.S. Army because in the engagement against the Native Americans at the Wabash, the U.S. Army had been almost completely destroyed. Wayne assembled the Legion and drilled them for well over a year before the Battle of Fallen Timbers took place in a harsh and foreign environment. To honor the Legion and also all veterans of the U.S. Armed Forces through time, we post the United States flag. Thank you.
This Memorial Day weekend, we do remember all those veterans who served our nation, and the numbers are rather staggering. If you look at our 200-year history, over 1 million, probably 500,000 young men and women gave their life in service of our nation. So on this Memorial Day weekend, that's whom we honor. So if you feel so inclined, I invite you to bow your head in prayer on this opening invocation for Memorial Day. Almighty and ever-living God, we call upon your holy name in this most sacred national holiday. Memorial Day remains one of America's most cherished patriotic observances. So we humbly ask your blessing upon our celebration here, as well as the celebrations across our nation. Over the years, the spirit of this day has not changed. It remains a day to honor those who have died defending our freedom and democracy. Lord, this is a solemn celebration, for we must recognize an unfortunate fact of life, that our beloved country was formed and is protected by the blood of warriors. As unfortunate as this is, we can be thankful, because over the years, heroic Americans have answered the call every time our way of life has been threatened. As our memory of this day brings forth a spirit of honor, it also stirs us to greater resolve to unite ourselves as one nation under God. Almighty God, we ask you to continue to bless our nation, that this great American experiment of freedom, liberty, and justice for all may be experienced in our time and in the ages to come. We bring this prayer to you in your most holy name. Amen.
Today and throughout the rest of this weekend, we'll honor and remember the countless men and women who gave their lives, the ultimate sacrifice for our freedoms and our nation. In the past several years, as a member of the community and as a member of the state legislature, I've had the distinct honor of learning about the men and women who've lost their lives defending our country. Each veteran story is different, but rooted in the same principles: love of country, love of family, and love of their fellow Americans. So much love, in fact, that our veterans are willing to protect and defend this place and these people to their last breath. No words or actions can accurately depict the true depth of this love and sacrifice. We try every year to capture it with eloquent speeches and ceremonies ingrained in veneration, but nothing we do can truly depict the selfless love and sacrifice that these heroes exhibit to us. Yet we still try. Every year we honor these heroes in the best ways that we can. Despite knowing that we cannot fully represent their love and sacrifice, we make the effort to remember these men and women in the hopes we do them justice. By doing this every year, we also keep them alive in our hearts and in our minds. This is an almost impossible task as well, but a valiant effort for us. In telling these heroes' stories, we preserve their memories and also reinforce their example of what it means to truly serve. Love of country, love of family, and love of their fellow Americans. For our heroes, this love is what called them to serve. They loved their country, our freedoms, ideals, and everything it stands for. They were honored to protect and defend it and all that it has given to them as American citizens. They love their families, and when I say this, I don't mean their parents, siblings, and relatives. I also mean their familial bonds found in their communities that made them who they are. We're honored to protect and defend their families and all they gave to them as people. They also love their fellow Americans, the people in every corner of this country, the people who, like them, love this nation and their own families. They were honored to protect and defend them too, so that they may give more to America and their neighbors. Our fallen heroes were called to serve because of all this love in their hearts for our nation, our families, and our fellow Americans. By telling their stories on Memorial Day, we remember this love and hopefully feel the call to serve as well. Not necessarily in the armed forces, but by also serving America and our fellow Americans with this same love. On Memorial Day, the eloquent speeches and honorable ceremonies may not perfectly capture this love and sacrifice. Yet as we make the attempt to do our veterans justice through their memories and stories, we make a valiant effort to honor them, and I hope to emulate them too. As we honor our fallen veterans this weekend, remember their love and sacrifice for our country, family, and even for you. Live this at the forefront of your minds and leave out this love to the best of your abilities. Thank you very much.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Senior Master Sergeant Stacy Honan, and I am the First Sergeant of the Ohio National Guard's 180th Fighter Wing. It's a privilege to be here with you today as we honor our nation's fallen service members. Before I begin, I would like to take a moment to express my gratitude to the Gold Star families throughout our communities. Thank you for your service and sacrifice, and sharing your service member with our country when they were needed most. Memorial Day is a day that has become widely recognized by our children as the end of the school year, an unofficial beginning of the summer, complete with family gatherings and vacations. But it's so much more. Memorial Day is a day of celebration, a celebration of our nation's brave men and women who fought for and defended our freedoms. It's also a day of honor. Honoring those same brave men and women who laid down their lives to protect our nation and maintain the ideas we hold so dear. In a speech given in 1940, Winston Churchill stated, "Never was so much owed by so many to so few." This is a statement that still rings true today, and I couldn't agree more. We owe our fallen airmen, soldiers, sailors, Marines, and Coast Guard member a debt that can never be fully repaid. We can, however, continue to honor them today and every day. We can pause to reflect upon their sacrifices, the sacrifices of those who gave their lives in service, and the service of our Gold Star families whose lives changed forever with the death of their loved ones. We can keep their memories alive by continuing to share their stories and teaching America's youth about their bravery and heroism as they willingly assume the responsibility of protecting our towns, states, and nation, joining their fellow Americans on the front lines in defending against threats at home and abroad. We will always remember them as heroes, leaving their mark in our history. It is also important to remember them as the people they were before donning the uniform of America's armed forces. Our heroes were just like you and I. They were your friends, neighbors, community leaders, teachers. They were your family members. They lived and worked in our communities, touching the lives of so many airmen and soldiers who knew and loved them. In the National Guard, we call them citizen airmen and citizen soldiers, the perfect description to highlight who they were. Citizens within our communities, as well as defenders of this great nation. For me and our Stinger family, this is a time when we can continue to share the stories of our past Stingers with our own families and the new airmen who have joined the ranks of the 180th Fighter Wing family. In this way, we not only keep their memories alive, but also use those stories as a reminder of our history and the very fiber of what our Stinger family is made of. Today, I'd like to share the story of Lieutenant Colonel Kenny Sonny Sonnenberg, who gave his life over the deserts of Iraq in June of 2007. Sonny was the epitome of an American citizen airman. He was a teacher and a farmer, embedded in the fabric of his community. He was very humble and probably wouldn't like the attention that we're giving him today. But it's important to honor and celebrate the inspiring person he was. Sonny was a lover of life, his family and friends, his fields, his faith, and his country. He was always quick with a joke and the first to make you feel like you were part of the family. He also picked on you accordingly, just like any good big brother would. One of his favorite things to do was fly his F-16 over the field of his beloved Henry County. Sonny was a leader and a wingman. He inspired patriotism in every aspect of his life, and above all else, he was forever faithfully committed to protecting this country, which he loved, and preserving the freedoms that so many others have given their lives for. This is just a small window into the person that Lieutenant Colonel Sonnenberg was. And there are many more stories I could share with you today of Sonny and others I've had the privilege of knowing or working with throughout my life. But instead, I encourage each of you to spend the day seeking out or sharing the stories of the heroes in your lives and communities. As you reflect on the lives and sacrifice of our great American heroes, also continue teaching our children how these men and women embodied the courage, pride, determination, selflessness, and dedication needed to serve a cause much greater than themselves. At the moment of greatest danger, each of them chose to put themselves in harm's way for their comrades, for the country, and for you and me. While Memorial Day is a day of remembrance, it is also a day of celebration. A celebration of the men and women who dared all and gave all for us. Thank you for allowing me to be here with you today and to remember our bravest of Americans. I would like to leave you with one last quote before we depart to celebrate with our family and friends. And each time you see our flag flying high, remember this and say a silent thank you to those who have made it possible for our flag to remain a symbol of freedom and independence. Our flag does not fly because the wind moves it. It flies with the last breath of each soldier who died protecting it. Thank you.
As past commander of the American Legion Lucas County Council, which represents 2,500 members from Grand Rapids, Ohio to Oregon, Ohio, our members stand strong in remembrance of those who made the ultimate sacrifice in the time of war from 1775 to present. From here at Fallen Timbers, World War I, World War II, the beaches of Normandy, the shores of Iwo Jima, the ships at Pearl Harbor, the bitter cold of Korea, and the swamps of Vietnam, to the mountains of Afghanistan. Over 1.5 million young men fought to keep America, the land of the free, by their sacrifice. On Memorial Day, we rededicate on those harrowing acts as to never forget. The American Legion has made it our mission for young students to appreciate the freedom and liberty they enjoy today through our school systems. May God bless America.
My name is Paula Lauer, and I'm the current regent of the Fort Industry chapter of the National Society Daughters of the American Revolution. Why are we here today? The real reason for Memorial Day often gets lost in the excitement of a 3-day weekend and the anticipation of the upcoming season of vacations and fun. But the real reason we've come here today is to have a solemn day of remembrance to honor those who sacrificed their lives serving in the American Armed Forces to protect the freedom of that all Americans hold dear. The Daughters of the American Revolution is not only a service society, but we also attempt to honor patriots every day in our projects that support active duty military, veterans, and their support groups like the USO and Women's Veterans Initiative. In addition, we try to foster patriotism in the youth of our country through various activities such as supporting the Junior ROTC and sponsoring the DAR Good Citizen Scholarships. The women of the DAR open each chapter meeting by stating the objectives of our society. One of these objectives is to perpetuate the memory and the spirit of the men and women who achieved American independence. We also recite the American's Creed in our opening ritual. It was written by William Tyler Page, a descendant of President John Tyler, as an entry into a patriotic contest that he won. It defines the DAR and our commitment to patriotism. The American's Creed. I believe in the United States of America as a government of the people, by the people, for the people, whose just powers are derived from the consent of the governed, a democracy in a republic, a sovereign nation of many sovereign states, a perfect union, one and inseparable, established upon those principles of freedom, equality, justice, and humanity for which American patriots sacrificed their lives and fortunes. I therefore believe it is my duty to my country to love it, to support its Constitution, to obey its laws, to respect its flag, and to defend it against all enemies. So to those who perished to give us freedom, we honor you, we remember you. We thank you for your sacrifice today and every day.
I think any Canadian who is stuck in the United States today, pandemically, should be at this event. They have no excuse to miss it. Thank you very much. In an attempt to make America Great Britain again, one thing that we had forgotten on this battlefield, it was proper prior planning. To this day, no one will ever know why 63 Canadians and several hundred First Nations warriors risked the possibility of another world war. Maybe Lieutenant Governor Simcoe and many loyalists of old were seeking some type of reparations for their own to keep the imperial fire burning to win this land back in the name of His Majesty. Then again, did His Majesty know of such undertaking that was being done? When the American loyalists had to depart, they left behind everything from agriculture to Medora and from molasses to slaves. It may have only been money, but the price to rebuild is never cheap. But they had their lives. The Canadians were able to return to their homes after the engagement here. The Americans were able to acquire more land, and the First Nations paid the price of simple survival with their lives. But today, America and Canada are great friends. We have shared the same battles, wars, and any type of engagements worldwide. A lot of people don't realize that during the American Civil War, many Canadians actually came down to enlist in both the Union Army as well as the Confederate States of America. By World War I, Canada saw many American recruits in their ranks between 1914 as well as 1918, and also in reverse. By the Second World War, when Europe was under threat, America also answered the call of His Majesty King George VI. And then a lot of Canadians as well had come to the United States to assist, mainly the Pacific Theater. Also for United Nations and peacekeeping in the Korean War. And then the Vietnam conflict came along. And a lot of Americans don't realize that when 25,000 Americans left this country to go to Canada, 25,000 Canadians came to Canada and enlisted. But the thing is that after the war, they did not return to Canada due to political issues. Her Majesty did not sanction the war. They were all able to return home on Canada Day. Thank you very much.
I'm Sherrod Brown. It's an honor to serve the citizens of Ohio in the United States Senate. On Memorial Day, we pause to pay tribute to the members of our military throughout our history who laid down their lives to keep us safe. We remember the Ohioans who fought under our flag in far-off lands, who left families who missed birthdays and holidays, who sacrificed their health, sometimes even their lives, all in service to our country they love. We thank all of their families you sacrifice alongside our service members. You often don't get the recognition that you deserve. Today, particularly, we honor Gold Star families. You've lost wives and husbands, fathers and mothers. Again, all in service to our country. We can never repay you, but we pay tribute to you and to all those who served in our nation's military, and we must remember that we owe you more than our gratitude. You deserve the health care and the benefits and the educational opportunities that you've earned, and the benefits you don't let anybody tell you you haven't. That's why these benefits should be there for every single person. I'm humbled to be the longest serving Ohioan ever in the Senate Veterans Affairs Committee. I take that duty very seriously. I've worked to protect Gold Star families from tax hikes on their military survivor benefits to ensure that Gold Star fathers' sacrifices are recognized alongside other family members. If we can assist you in obtaining the benefits you and your family earned, please don't hesitate to call in my office. One of our state's most storied veterans, John Glenn, said, "The happiest and most fulfilled people I've known are those who devoted themselves to something bigger and more profound than merely their own self-interest." One quality that runs through so many veterans, my dad, John Glenn, the veterans I talk with at roundtables across the country, is their humility. Veterans don't often speak about their service. They never brag. They rarely ask for recognition, but oh, how they've earned it. That's why Memorial Day matters. Lift up those voices that ask for no recognition, but are such a vital part of our American story. Happy Memorial Day to all of you.
The Battle of Fallen Timbers was one of the conflicts in the Old Northwest that pitted the U.S. forces against the Native Confederacy. In today's world, it's easy to focus on things that drive communities within this country apart. But today I want to focus on what brings us together. Even before the formation of the United States, natives and settlers fought at times against each other, but they also fought together as allies. Natives fought as allies to the colonists against the British in the Revolutionary War. Natives fought with Wayne in the Fallen Timbers Campaign and with William Henry Harrison's forces in the War of 1812. And that tradition of service by natives to this country has continued for centuries. Natives have served in the United States Armed Forces at 5 times the national average, and throughout American history, they have defended this country with honor and great sacrifice. General Eli S. Parker, a member of the Seneca Nation, was Ulysses S. Grant's secretary throughout the Civil War, and he wrote the terms of surrender that ended the war. General Parker went on to serve in Grant's presidential administration and drafted and oversaw Grant's early Native American policies. In World War I, even though natives had not yet been recognized as citizens of this country, 15,000 natives volunteered to serve in the armed forces, and native women volunteered to serve as nurses. In World War II, of the 350,000 natives living in the United States, almost 45,000 enlisted to serve in the armed forces, making them the group with the highest rate of voluntary enlistment in the war. In some tribal nations, up to 70% of the men enlisted. The work of the Navajo Code Talkers has become known as being critical to the success of U.S. efforts, and by the end of World War II, that group grew to 400 individuals, and the Navajo were joined by representatives of the Cherokee, Lakota, Choctaw, Meskwaki, and Comanche nations. Corporal Ira Hayes of the Pima Nation was one of the 6 Marines who famously raised the flag on Iwo Jima. Over 800 Native women served in the Women's Armed Forces, and 10,000 more served as nurses. Of those who remained, 65,000 left their homes to serve in wartime industries, and even more supported the war financially. In the Vietnam War, 42,000 natives served. 90% of them volunteered. Native service and sacrifice as members of the armed forces continues today. Since September 11, natives have served in a significantly higher percentage than any other demographic. Since that tragic day, 19% of all natives have served in the armed forces. The average of other demographic groups is 14%. Native women have also stepped up to serve in higher and higher numbers. Today, Native women serve in all branches of the armed forces, and of that overall higher Native rate of service, women make up a full 20%. There have been 9 Native Medal of Honor recipients. Master Sergeant Woodrow Wilson Keeble, a Sioux. Second Lieutenant Van T. Barfoot, Choctaw. Staff Sergeant Roy P. Benavidez, Yaqui. First Lieutenant Ernest Childers, Creek. Corporal Mitchell Red Cloud Jr., Winnebago. Private First Class Charles George, Cherokee. Lieutenant Commander Ernest Edward Evans, Cherokee Creek. First Lieutenant Jack C. Montgomery, Cherokee. Colonel Pappy Boyington, Sioux. Today we honor the natives that fought and sacrificed to save their homelands from the United States in 1794. And we also honor the natives who fought with United States forces even before the United States existed and throughout the history of this nation. At this time, our fife and drum is going to perform a song called Chester. And before we had a national anthem, this served as an unofficial national anthem. cedar bough is there to honor the natives in their own tradition. At the American Monument, the bough is to remember the Choctaw and Chickasaw warriors who were with Wayne in the campaign before the battle. Under the American Indian Monument to my left, where you will see listed all of the tribes who participated in the battle, we also honor them again with the cedar bough in their own tradition. At this point, I would invite Jonathan Moan to come forward. I'm from a small town and I still like patriotic songs, and he is going to lead us in America the Beautiful.
Oh, beautiful for spacious skies, for amber waves of grain, for purple mountain majesties above the fruited plain. America, America, God spread his grace on thee, and crown thy good with brotherhood from sea to shining sea. Oh, beautiful for heroes proved in liberating strife, who more than self their country love, and mercy more than life.